Good morning. Sound of thunder clapping overhead. I'm Cameron Watts. I identify as he, him, and I have the privilege of being the minister of this wonderful place, Fairlawn Avenue United Church. A couple of times this year, people have shared with me that it's become really easy to tune out the acknowledgement of the land and her people. Because although I try to vary it from week to week, it does start to sound the same. I hope that we recognize the privilege it is to be able to tune something out and believe that that's without consequence. But the voices of the people we name every week were tuned by our ancestors. We did irreparable damage to their and our humanity. We made them subordinate. We made ourselves senseless. So the words Huron, Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Mississauga of the New Credit are so familiar to us that we tune them out. Until we see the people past the words, see the people who wear those descriptions, and the history of their ancestors with pride. See what we do to perpetuate their alienation until we see we are able to tune out. And in part that is my fault because I offer the acknowledgement and then get on with the service. It's integral to what we do, but there are other things that I'm thinking about and moving along to. I'm not going to do this every week, but today I'm going to take 30 seconds and just say nothing. And in the silence, I'm going to ask you to imagine briefly what it would be like to lose your land and lose your heritage like that. In the days to come, my hope is that when we hear of an injustice or our conscience pricks us, that we will determine to find one of our Indigenous neighbors and ask them, what does reconciliation look like to you? And how is it more than the 3 minutes that we faithfully take as a faith community to acknowledge your being a person and your history? What does reconciliation look like that is more than the words of acknowledgement, that it is easy for us to tune out? You and I are here in part because no one here tunes us out. We are made to feel welcome. We are heard. We are welcomed by a community of faith where we know we won't be tuned out, where for the sake of justice, we struggle to hear the voices of our Indigenous neighbors. One of the phrases we can always apply here at Fairlawn is, I get heard. There is a sound, God, when grief spills from the corner of an eye and stains the earth with its wetness. It is not a quiet sound, although it may be difficult to hear. And it is not a strange sound. We know its compelling rhythms all too well, because it is, after all, the sound of your voice. You fill every tear with your nail-scarred presence, and breathe into every gasp your comforting spirit. And in every broken voice you call inviting us to find you in the weeping. Thank you for the grace that shouts in the pain of our world and that teaches us to listen for life in the sound of tears. As we walk through Lent, the scriptures will slowly take us toward Jerusalem and Jesus' final days there. Our gospel lesson today is from Luke 13, verses 31 through 35. And Jesus is already in trouble. And at that time, some Pharisees came to Jesus and said, "Go away from here. Herod wants to kill you." Jesus said to them, "Go tell that fox Herod, today and tomorrow I am forcing demons out and healing people. And then on the third day, I will reach my goal. Yet I must be on my way today and tomorrow and the next day. Surely it cannot be right for a prophet to be killed anywhere, except in Jerusalem. Jerusalem. Jerusalem, you kill the prophets and stone to death those who are sent to you. Many times I wanted to gather your people as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you would not let me. And now your house is left completely empty. I tell you, you will not see me until that time when you say, 'God bless the one who comes in the name of the Lord.'" Every once in a while, a minister, this minister, wonders what they were thinking when they chose a theme and a title for Sunday morning, for the reflection. So in preparing a month or two or three ahead, a theme springs to mind and I bank it, and when the week rolls around, I am ready to write. Not this week. I went back to my notes. I read what I had come up with. I read it sideways. I read it upside down. I turned the pages around and around, and still I could not make the connection with what seemed like a good idea much earlier in the year. I have in the past easily resisted the tempter's voice, somewhat like Jesus in the wilderness, who whispered to me in my lack of clarity. And by the way, not for nothing, the tempter's voice is a baritone. I don't know why, but it's there. Didn't recognize the voice, though, just so you know. The tempter's voice whispered to me in my lack of clarity, "You should try AI to help you write this." I puffed up my chest and took a deep breath and said, "Thou shalt not tempt the minister with machine language, so that they listen to every thought that proceeds from their God-given brain." I feel strongly about this. I really do. If you have ever received an email from my personal account, you know that my tagline is, "No portion of this email was created with artificial or real intelligence." I've got to be upfront about this stuff. So I held to my convictions. I did. I held to my convictions. I ignored the tempter's voice until Thursday. I did not start to panic, but I began to wonder where that good idea for a reflection had gone. Just try it. Your friends have. They've been pleased with the results. You deserve a break. No. no. I sat there at my computer and I opened ChatGPT. And then I opened Claude. I read the introductions to both of the softwares. I did not type in anything. I resisted. And then I heard, in that same quiet baritone voice, look at it hurt. I typed in the scriptures and the line, write me a sermon about the pragmatism of Lent, knowing it could not do it, and I did not hit enter. And then I did. And I watched 2 3-page sermons arrive like that. I'm really pleased to say they were terrible. I know that AI aggregates, and I know this stuff could have been better, but this was right out of a Gospel of Success compendium from conservative church materials about Jesus' pragmatism. And I went, oh, that's not me, good. And how to be successful by applying this to your own life. Whew. Before I congratulated myself, I thought, wow, how many of these guys in the States are using AI to write their sermons? And before I congratulated myself, I thought, wow, I still don't have a reflection. The AI generated one clever line contrasting Herod the fox with Jesus the hen, who wanted to nestle the people of Jerusalem in a protective place. And I liked that. Fox, chickens, made sense. Couldn't work with it. But then, I don't know what it was, I remembered what I was thinking before. Here's the pragmatism of Lent. Jesus was not pragmatic, at least not in this case. He ignored the warnings to lay low. He just said, just watch me. There is no pragmatism to Lent. You follow your intuition. You follow your longing. You follow the poke from the Spirit. And you head straight to the wilderness with no food, no water, no cover to see what will happen. Lent is about Jesus spending 40 days in the wilderness with nothing, so that there are no distractions from this moment of discovery. We follow our intuition, we follow our longing, we follow the Spirit's prompting, we head straight for the wilderness. What's going to happen? Well, I will confess that I've been reading and rereading the book that I am using for our Lenten studies online, Oliver Burkeman's Meditations for Mortals. And he's very much about, what are you going to do with your time? And what are you going to do with how you feel about what you do with your time? And so in Lent, assuming that we have given something up that frees time and energy, how are you and I going to indulge that time? Forget pragmatism for a moment. Forget it for an hour. Forget it for a day. We're already really good at being pragmatic. Where can our intuition or longing or the Spirit's prompting take us? Let your mind, let your soul wander to a possibility. Go for a mental hike to an unfamiliar place. Read something that you've been meaning to read for a while and haven't picked up. Or read something that someone recommends to you that you would never have imagined reading. Watch a show that is not what you would normally tune into. Listen to something, to a podcast or some music that isn't your normal place of comfort. Because you're pragmatic. You know what works. You know what helps. You know what already inspires you. don't need to wander anywhere and make a new discovery. But if you're going to abandon pragmatism for Lent, you have to go to an unfamiliar place and take it in. The sights, the sounds, the smells. And you don't have to go too far. I think I've told you this before, and if I haven't, good. And if I have, I apologize for repeating myself. I am one of those people that people who are struggling with mental health come and sits beside on the subway. I don't know why. I will say to myself, don't make eye contact, and they will still come and sit beside me. Or they will come and they will sit right down beside me, and then they will lie down and they will go to sleep. One of them even put his feet in my lap once. But instead of distancing ourselves from the person who sleeps on the subway, without being rude, just look at them. Wonder what they value. Wonder about their story. Inhale what it's like to go without a bath for a while. If they stir and they talk to you, listen, at least until you're stopped, and then politely excuse yourself. Or ride a little bit farther. You never know where this journey into the wilderness might take you. If they stir and you feel safe and the conversation is working, ask them to tell you a little bit more of their story. It may be a story of thirst and dizziness and loss. It might be a story about Satan's temptation and angels and animals ministering to them. But instead of dismissing them immediately, think about the first person who met Jesus when he came out of the wilderness. You don't smell so good. You look hungry. Have you lost weight? What happened to you? Well, I talked to Satan, and the angels looked after me, and animals came and made sure I was okay. In the gospel passage today, Jesus saw a city that had rejected him and would reject him again, and he could have, as he instructed his disciples another day, shaken off the dust from his feet, taken off his sandals and emptied the dirt, and walked away. Because he said, if people don't receive you, then as a symbol of their lack of reception, do that. Take off your sandals, dump out the sand, and keep going. Let them know. And he could have done that with Jerusalem. Instead, he mourned for its people and their losses. He let emotions suppress his pragmatism. Try giving up pragmatism for a Lenten moment. Try something new that may not make sense. But for some reason you think it might be good for you and it might be good for someone else. Indulge your intuition. Listen to the Spirit's promptings. Take the risk. And learn something. Learn something about yourself. Allow yourself to mourn if you've been keeping that suppressed by your pragmatism. Wonder who would be grateful for the shelter of your kindness and your time, whether it's real or emotional or both. Wonder who's going to be affected if you decide just for a moment to spread your wings and make somebody feel human, welcome, like they belong. And see how different you are when you wander away from that.
Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou the King sent unto thee. Stonest them which are sent unto thee. How often would I have gathered unto me thy children, and ye would not, and ye would not. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets, thou that stonest them which are sent unto thee. Jerusalem, Jerusalem.
March 14th, third month, 14th day, is Pi Day. Any mathematicians who can tell me what that's about? I know, but yeah, he's the ringer. He's the ringer. I know what he's going to say. John, you had your hand up. Okay, Tom, could you tell me what Pi Day is about, please? Half the circumference of a circle. Okay, I can work with that, thank you. People just have fun with Pi Day because it's the third month, 14th day, 3.14, and then John will give you the rest of the digits, although apparently they're inestimable, it's too long. We also do Pi Day as a united church. Do you know what that's about? PIE. Public, intentional, explicit. It is an acknowledgement and celebration of those who are non-binary, not heterosexual, find different expressions of their sexuality, and we celebrate it by serving pie on the 14th of March. Pi Day. And this church is actually pretty good, maybe not at observing Pi Day so much as being public, intentional, and explicit in their support of people who are non-binary, gender diverse, not heterosexual, different expressions of their humanity. And I am very proud to be part of a congregation that takes that seriously and works on it and enjoys it and celebrates it. So I wanted to celebrate that with you today. So at the front here, oh, excuse me, good food handling practice. I have 3 pies. And for passing the peace today, I'm going to invite you to come up and get a very small piece of pie, and I want you to pass the peace to somebody else. And if you can think of one person who fits into that wonderful description that we have of people who aren't just heterosexual and or male and or female and completely limiting themselves to that, nothing wrong with that, by the way, then just tell them, you know what, I'm really grateful for so-and-so. So I will give you 3 warnings. By the way, they are very small pieces, just so you know. 3 warnings. First of all, I am sorry, none of this is gluten-free. Second of all, it's messy, but acknowledging people's differences is sometimes messy. And the third one is the lemon pie carries a kick because it's made with real lemons. Okay, so if you pick lemon and you hand it to somebody else, you might just want to stand with them for a moment. Okay? Give me a second and I'll have some pieces ready for you. I think the importance of saying that something is public and intentional and explicit isn't just to use language, those words, and say, yes, this is what we do and who we are. I think it's something as simple as, and I say this from the heart, I think some of my best friends are gay. Some of the people I trust most in life are gay. I think their sense of having to be aware of and celebrate who they are makes me want to be around them. They're good people. And so that is my public and my intentional and my explicit declaration today, that some of my best friends, I'm just so grateful for them. So if you can think of anybody like that in your life that you are profoundly grateful for, then peace to you. Our second confession today is responsive, and I invite you to join with me. And now, O God, you ask faith of us, the faith to count ourselves among the least. The faith to trust in your mercy and your promises. The faith to wait expectantly for your reign of justice and equity. The blessing of plenty. The blessing of healing. The blessing of joy. And of tears. The blessing of friendship. The blessing of peace. And in some small way, may our faith and our sharing help to bring your promises into being in our world. Life can be tough to navigate. So much that is uncertain, so much that is unpredictable, so many detours, so many uncharted paths. And yet, amazingly, you do not leave us to find our way alone. In your grace, we find a path, a compass, a guide. Your grace is a shelter, open for anyone who wants in. And it does offer protection from the worst of whatever storms we may face. Thank you for watching. If you appreciate this content, please share it with your friends. Consider giving us a like, subscribing, and hitting the notification icon, as it really helps our channel. And as always, be good to you.